We're back in Canada. Lynn and I have had a good rest. Sorry, we've had no videos for about 5 or 6 days now. Got one ready to go for tomorrow. That's all on did we do it right with our crew and how we did our build. And I can say right up front, I'm happy with how we had our crew and such. But would we do it different now that we've already had that experience? So from Philippine Forex standpoint, everything popped up above the baseline except for the Australian, and the US dollar is boop. It's dead on the rails. It doesn't know whether it wants to get off of this resistance level or whether it wants to travel down to 52. Remember, guys, I use support and resistance interchangeably because if you're in the Philippines and you are working with pesos, you might want to flip that currency upside down. That's how it works. Anyway, it's just a habit we got into. We only call it resistance. And I won't be using the word support anymore. So the Philippine peso, looking pretty good overall. I've said this before. The peso really wants all the currencies to be at their baseline as much as they can. It allows them to get more money to come into the country, because you got to remember, I had read somewhere that at any given point there's roughly 25% of the Philippine population elsewhere in the world. That's a big number, guys. That's a big number. I mean, cruise ships, Canada, US, Europe, you name it, they're there, Middle East. So it's good for the Philippine peso when we're all kind of sitting around that baseline. The euro has been slowly chugging up, but as I mentioned with the US dollar, it's kind of stagnant at 54 right now, but that's good for you guys in the US. Keep pounding every dollar that you can to the Philippines, but save everything above the baseline of 50. You're going to see 47 sooner or later, and will you have the pesos to offset it and not feel the crunch, right? Listening to a number of vloggers out there right now about, farming or restaurant or whatever, and their profit loss margin keeps going up and down. Welcome to the world of business. You don't spend to your levels, guys. You got to save, and especially if you're going to live in the Philippines and your pension is coming from elsewhere, you got to learn to save. Oh, it's an old story with me, right? And one of the other guys is talking about living on another island and he's got health issues. And I said, dude, find out where you can get your ongoing health. If this disease that you've got progresses, can you get that health care on your island? But regarding our house build, yeah, it's going to come in under that 1.2. You remember, guys, that we took 1 million pesos for our build and we were going to cap at that level. Circumstances took us to a point of taking the money that I was going to put towards the driveway and these other finishings, and we decided to finish the house. Important and proper decision to do. And we sure don't look back on that one. That decision in the moment was for sure the right one. No question about it, as much as I'd like to be driving down a driveway that's all concrete. So keep that in mind. Some of our tough stuff, guys, is coming down to some of our labor costs, whether it be Masoon, skilled labor. I use that term loosely now and probably even more loosely. And our labor type people, the ones that only know digging, they don't even know how to take a nail out, although that wouldn't take much to train. So we're sitting right in about that point. Our difficulty right now that we're finding is some of the labor was pulled off to do other projects. Now, it was pretty straightforward once we started the ceiling in the house and once we started the flooring. That became pretty straightforward because the crew was out of the house, not doing any more on the house. And in tomorrow's video, I go into how would we restructure with the knowledge that we've already got, okay? Because in Lynn and I's mind, this had to be a fun process. It had to be something that we weren't going to be living with long-term negative energy, huge negative outcomes, where we might have been constantly fighting with the crew, et cetera, et cetera. That was not where we wanted to be. However, if we're going to do a second build, yeah, stay tuned for that video. We structured quite a bit differently. And a quick footnote, we will probably only be doing 2 to 3 videos a week now, especially now that the house build is done. Get back to more of a routine that we had last year for Canuck summers. Later, gamers.